Hey everybody, this is Charlie with 4BZ Truth. So, sitting here in my vehicle and been thinking some deep thoughts again, like always, and just kind of wanted to, put it out there. And I'm about to blow your minds, hopefully. Basically, have you guys ever put any thought into alchemy? Now, it was kind of a forbidden knowledge all of the time that I've been investigating anything from a Christian perspective. I'll just tell you right now that alchemy appears to be, to me, something that is very deep, and it's definitely esoteric and understanding like a hidden mystery, or secret, or sacred, or whatever you want to call it. And basically, the way we understand chemistry, it kind of spins off from that. Now, I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and we were talking about the emerald tablets, how basically Thor, or whatever the name of the king from Atlantis, basically is sacred writings that were passed down, and it was in relation to the alchemy. Now, the reason I'm thinking about alchemy is because whenever you hear about satanic rituals, or just any kind of analyzing of nature, so you have this, so that the quote from Nikola Tesla, I constantly think back to, because it's talking about the secrets to reality is hidden in frequency and energy, basically. And so energy in terms of electricity or inertia, from a scientific perspective, we can analyze certain constructs that are in place. And so basically, the frequency thing is interesting to me, because I'm a musician. I play guitar. I've been playing for a long time, and my understanding is, when you start tuning, you can have something like this wave frequency, and basically, whenever you have that wave, it kind of goes up and down as you're tuning closer to that frequency to align with the waves. You can hear like wong, 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 and then the waves blend together. And to me, that is extremely interesting. It like clicked in my mind, like, holy crap, that's kind of what happens when we are aligning our thoughts, or there's certain chemistry that takes place between people's relationships and things like that. We just feel like it's a natural flow because our frequencies are aligned. Now, I know that sounds, again, these are things that are completely outside of my realm of normal, and to say things like this, it just feels new agey. Now, I'm not so turned off by the new age concepts just because of, it's like taboo per se, because that's all I ever do is talk about taboo or think about taboo, because honestly, I need to understand what it is that causes things to be taboo, because everything I have been looking into up to this point is, it's just another piece to the big puzzle, which actually, whenever I read the teachings of Jesus, he often will refer to things in parables. And in a lot of ways, I start wondering, like, he was trying to teach his disciples that parables are kind of how you can hide mystery or meaning. And if you have an understanding of how to interpret the parables, then you could communicate. He was saying to the disciples were asking, why do you say these things in parables? And he was saying, or he replied with basically, so that we could, the meanings would be more hidden from those who are not in tune with, like the Pharisees. He's basically telling the disciples that the Pharisees wouldn't understand. But he goes back and explains it to the disciples. I think that it's interesting. See, I'm kind of tying all these loose ends together. You know, a lot of these things that are considered taboo, I kind of wonder if they're made taboo because that's the work of the enemy, trying to snuff out anything that is a construct of God. And I think that people are given a certain capacity to understand these deep topics like alchemy or electricity and frequency and all these things that are within our realm or under our reality. God uses those things to communicate to us, and in a lot of ways we just aren't in tune to those concepts until we do a little research and figure it out, because nothing just comes. I mean, yeah, we have certain nature and nurture when we're born and grow up, because that's just how we learn. But the whole nature thing for me is interesting because we're built. There's things that are built into our capacity that come natural. You know, the fact that birds can migrate every year and fly south and north and they just go back. I mean, it is a natural instinct for them. People have certain natural instincts. Seeing my wife go through her pregnancy, I see that there's like such amazing transitions that she's going through. Like literally, I sense that there's like hormones that are being released. Not only is she emotional, but she is falling in love with a child that she's never even met. So it's like that is a chemical reaction in her body. It's like alchemy. To me, is there's certain things that are kind of understood, but the deeper people have gotten into these concepts, the more I guess you could say puffed up people become, and they think that they have all the answers. And I think that we must be humble in order to be able to process these things and not allow the evil to creep in, because evil is definitely puffed up. And you know, if I could fully, you know, show you this big picture, the problem is the whole what I was getting at in regards to parables, you know, my parabolic understanding of this world that we live in, this construct, you have a big puzzle. You know, when you're building a puzzle, you see colors that relate, you see the edges, and you start putting the edges together and the corners, and basically you're looking for patterns. And that's what I have found. I've seen a lot of patterns, and it's kind of becoming my theme is patterns. You know, everything can be linked together through little patterns. And basically, once you start receiving those little nuggets, you start piecing everything together. And there's no way that we'll be able to venture down these rabbit holes far enough to even see the full big picture. I don't even think that we're supposed to see the big picture. I don't think our human capacity has the ability to see a big picture like that. But that's where relationship comes in. People love, I mean, this whole concept of love. I can tell you right now, love is directly from our Creator. And if love is what bonds or binds relationships together and makes them, you know, I mean, we value our loving relationships, and I don't know. I just feel like that is the glue. It's the foundation to all of this complexity, because without love, you don't have a foundation for anything. It's just built on the sand, the way Jesus makes it sound when he's talking about the Sermon on the Mount. The foundation is everything. You have to fully embrace love, and the construct of love is broken down in 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not boast, it does not envy, it's not selfish. It goes into all that, and basically that is our template for what love is. Now, if anything ventures outside of that template, I feel like, it becomes diluted. One of the other parables that Jesus referenced was, it only takes a little bit of yeast to corrupt the full loaf. So when you're making bread and you're using yeast to rise the loaf, basically it's saying a little bit of corruption can go a long way. It's like when you're walking down a path, if you change 1 degree off of the path, you're definitely going to be off the path. So, and he talks about the narrow road. I really think that the whole frequency thing, if you change the channel off that frequency, you're no longer receiving the insight. But if you are in tune, then you are on that frequency, or you're on the path. So I feel like all these things are very important, but it all starts with love. We're designed in our simple nature is to love each other. But, I think God gives us these complex things, the mysteries of the world, so that we can, in terms of alchemy and, the ritual abuse and things like that, I feel like there are things that we can hone in on, but if it's not built from the proper foundation, then there's going to be abuse of the these mysteries that God has allowed us to see. I think that we have to have the proper filter in order to process through these things without letting evil or the yeast creep in. So in other words, like the things like numerology, these mysteries, if we can actually hone in on these things and understand them, we have to understand them through the proper filter, or else it's just going to be corrupted. We can't corrupt these mysteries of God. We have to be able to, and I'm still trying to figure out what that is, but I fully believe that if we are operating from that frequency of God, then it's going to change the universe for the good. And I feel like that's a lot of interesting insight that I feel like I'm downloading from God. And, I'm a willing heart. I'm willing to, investigate things that are taboo. And I encourage anybody to, the contrite heart and contrite spirit. I feel like we have to approach it with a humble heart. We don't take it lightly. Anyways, I love you guys. I appreciate you hearing out my rants. But sometimes I don't feel like I put it out there the exact way that I was thinking about it, but I always love to have an outlet, so I appreciate everybody listening. But if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I would like to expand this YouTube channel, and love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.